wow, what do you know? It's time for the Pocket Knife Show. Hey, it's Mike on the mic again for another episode of the Pocket Knife Podcast. I started doing push-ups fairly regularly back in 2016. That first year, because I'm competitive and others were pushing the envelope, I ended up with 101,010 push-ups. That's 101010. I took first place in the competition. I have a small trophy on my desk to show for it. Over the ensuing years, I did varying amounts. 51,600 in 2017, 0 in 2018, not sure why. In 2019, I did 32,400. I was injured in July and stopped. 2020, 5,800. 2021, 65,000. Last year, I did 14,000 in January, yet ended the year with 18,000. Why did I slow down so much? Injury once more was the culprit. I did way too many in 1 month, and my abs weren't able to handle the stress. I'm thankful it wasn't a hernia that knocked me out of competition this time. Did that once. Don't want to do it again. I'm starting slower this year, only 100 to 150 per day, and hopefully I'll end up with more than twice what I did last year. My aim is 36,500, a 100 per day average. So far, so good. I'm doing 100 4 days a week, 150 2 days a week, and taking Sundays off. Gotta rest. Here's the best part. No signs of impending injury, and I'm actually still in first place. I think. When the people of Israel were wandering around in the wilderness, they became unhappy with God's provision for their needs. There was so little to munch on in the desert. While their bellies growled, they thought back to Egypt, where they'd sat around pots of meat and eaten their fill. Reminiscing made them hungrier and angrier. "You've brought us out into this desert to starve," they whined. God heard their complaint. "I will rain down bread from heaven for you," he told Moses. "The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days." Enough is the word that stands out to me in these instructions. Gather enough for each day. Not too much, not too little, just enough. Do you trust God to provide enough? Enough food, enough water, enough clothing, enough joy, enough stamina, enough. Listen to Jesus' words from Matthew 6, starting at verse 25. "I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow? They do not labor or spin. Yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, 'What shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear?' For the pagans run after these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." There's that word again, enough. Each day has enough trouble of its own. No sense borrowing from tomorrow's troubles. Stop worrying. Trust God's enough for today. Enough of your needs will be met if you trust him. Back to the Israelites in the wilderness. God promises bread from heaven, and he delivers. I love how things turn out. In the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Everyone is to gather as much as they need. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent." The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little, And when they measured it by the omer, the one who gathered much did not have too much, and the one who gathered little did not have too little. Everyone had gathered just as much as they needed. Enough. That's what God will supply if you wait on Him. Enough said.
Oh no, it's sad, I know. We've come to the end of the show.
See you next time.